We are live. How's it going, everyone? It's James from Tin Robot Games, and today I'm going to give you an update on where we're at with Cities of Venus, as well as CATNIP Auction House. For those who've been watching these videos, I give an update, basically where we're at in our development of this game behind me here. We are going live on Kickstarter May 2nd. We are like 3.5 weeks away. Getting nervous. I'm not going to lie. I'm getting excited, nervous, which is cool. We've got a lot of copies that were sent out to reviewers. Some of the reviewers have just started receiving them. We've got some great feedback already. And hopefully we'll start seeing some of that content soon. But part of getting those games is I had some of them sent to me as well. So last update we did, we showed you kind of like a prototype I had, which was mainly what the reviewers are getting. But this is exactly what the reviewers are getting, which has even more in there than what I even had last time. So I'm excited to open it, and I thought we'd open up live. And hopefully everything is just perfect. You never know. This has been a journey, I got to tell you. I was using a company in China that ships straight from China to different parts around the world. And the issues we were having was getting them out of the country in time for the reviewers to get them. And it's insanely costly to ship games straight from factory to reviewers. This company, they take it into their warehouse and they ship it worldwide at rates that are literally half what you get if you tried to ship it yourself. So a lot of benefits there. The downside is they will remain nameless, but they, as many shipping companies, really don't care. Your urgency is not their urgency. And you got to navigate that, which can be very, very frustrating. And we burned through like a good week where I wanted to have these in reviewers' hands a week earlier than they end up getting them. Just because, again, the shipping company could care less. So, but we got them there. So lots of learnings along the way. And now we're going to open up the Cities of Venus prototype. If you want to kind of see the journey along the way, if you follow our channel, go back through any of our prior episodes. I've set a playlist called Cities of Venus, and in there you can see all the previous episodes that kind of led us up to this one. You can kind of see how things have come together. If you're one of those people who likes to geek out over, game development and how games come together, often I'm pretty straightforward in talking about my trials and tribulations, like the one I just talked about. And yeah, check it out. All right, so let's get into it. So for those who didn't know, today I'm going to post this as my monthly update on my email as well. But if you watch this video, a good buddy of mine, Connor McGoey from Inside Up Games, just launched their newest Kickstarter today. It's called Terminus. It's a heavier Euro, I would say. The guys that developed this game, I believe, are from the Toronto area here in Canada. I've seen this game back when it was literally lines on paper at a prototype night several years ago. Connor signed it on, and they launched under Inside Up Games. Looks super cool. Check it out. It's called Terminus, and you're essentially building subways, which is really cool. And they're on Kickstarter right now. Alrighty. Okay, lots of bubble wrap, which is good to protect it. Tougher to get through without cutting yourself, but I am going to do this. Almost there. Almost there. All right, these are actually shrink wrapped. That's cool. That is cool. I'm going to get out. It's coming. All right. So a few things off the hop. The good news is these are prototypes, and we are going to make adjustments based on some of the feedback from the reviewers, some of the things we learned during our campaign. The final production will be, this is kind of like, I like to say 95% of where we're going to be with the final game. There's a lot of changes we need to make. One glaring one was on the side. It literally says 2 to 5 players. That's probably one of the dumbest typos I've ever made. We copy and pasted over from another game we had, the player count, and forgot to update it. So it's actually 2 to 4 players for the base game. Expands up to 6 players. So the higher tier pledge of our campaign, 6 players can play this game. And the 6-player version will come with a lot more cards, a lot more events, a lot more innovations, and a lot more drop cards, which will all be unique specifically to the 6-player game. So if you get the 6-player game, you will get stuff that's not available with the 4-player game. There's other rule updates that we'll make based on some feedback, clarifications. It's interesting when you write rules, something that's clear to you isn't always clear to other people. And certainly that's the case with this game. Is there certain things where we thought it was clear. Like, for instance, there's a card that when it comes up, it says lost. It's an event, and it says lost drop run. So to us, it's like it was clear that, okay, you're going to lose that drop. You put it in the burn pile. No one gets to grab a canister that round. I had at least 2 reviewers come back to me saying, what does this card do? So we'll put in the instructions, hey, this is specifically what this card does. This is how you utilize the card. On top of that, we're going to take the language off the cards because we want this game to be language independent. So we just update the rule book in multiple languages. That allows us to get this game out in, we're aiming right now, at least 6 languages. So it'll be English, French, German, Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian. So yeah, so we'll make those adjustments as well. So here we are. Seas of Venus. That's all I think about when I go to bed at night. Is this campaign. I dream of Venus. I put a really cool video on our, if you go on our Facebook page for Tin Robot Games, I came across a video where it's about 20 minutes long and they talk about why to go to Venus versus to Mars. And I know I've talked about this on prior live streams I've done. But man, they really encapsulate it really, really clearly. And they use a lot of animation and graphics to explain how that would work. And really the case for Venus, which I thought was awesome. Okay, I'm going to switch to and get this out of the way. The 2 cam. Here we are. Hey, there we are. Oh boy, losing our stuff. Okay, so this is how the box opened up. We got I'll get the CATNIP Auction House in a second. So we have the rule book, which looks nice, and we'll probably add more pages and more images and so forth just to make things a little bit clearer. The rule book turned out very well. Our player boards, which we talked about last time, are thicker. So you can bring them up like that. You can see they're thicker boards. These actually are better than the ones I had. The ones I showed on camera last time, after kind of working with them for about, well, I went to the BreakoCon convention. They started getting a little warped. And I found that what happened in talking with the factory is because they rushed to get these done, even the paper itself wasn't fully dried before they glued it together. And that caused warping. So we are going to go through many iterations of these boards before we get to the final factory print to make sure they are perfect. This is the one thing that is paramount to me. They have to be perfect. So we're going to do that. We're going to make sure they're perfect. But there's 4 boards in there. Lift those up. And then instead of going with a traditional thermoform insert, we went with this foam insert. And the reason we did this was that we can cut around the shapes of the trays easier and quite frankly, fit the things in the box without it being a bit of a mess. And the foam gets that extra protection. These guys here, I'd like to have a slot, so maybe we'll do some additional cutting, but it's a good start. So it comes with your neoprene mat on the side. I was laughing. I had one of the reviewers say to me, this is the first time I've actually got a neoprene mat in the box for a reviewer copy. So, this is standard in every game. Every game's going to have this neoprene mat just because it looks so awesome on the table. So we're going to include that. We got the mini player boards. There is one thing we're going to change for clarification on this. Reviewers came back and it says 1 victory point for every 2 V-knots you have. In the rule book, it says in the city, but it doesn't say it on the reference card. So on this reference card, we'll make sure we say in the city for end game scoring. The meeples right now, there's 150 meeples in here, which is enough to play with 4 people. We have increased this to 200 of these spacemen meeples that will be in the game. So every copy is going to have 200 of these guys. You have your dice. These guys I want to see. I haven't seen these yet because I've only had 3D printed versions of these so far. So that's interesting how that one fits, but this one doesn't. Super cool. All right, let's lay these out. See how these look. So I'm going to move this over here. So the gems fit in there. I'll do the red ones because you get more contrast, you can see. Oh yeah, that turned out nice. Oof. I am happy with that, my friends. I am happy with that. That turned out really well. So every game comes with 3 of these. The 6th player will come with 6 of these. So you can spread these out across the table so that you have gems kind of near everybody. There's the 3 different types of gems. Then we've got the rocket tray. So this guy here, it does look big enough, but I'm going to just, for giggles, pour these in here and see how they fit. Oh yeah. Okay. Definitely big enough. So that's 150 meeples. We're going to have 200 meeples in the game. However, the initial setup of the game, there's like, if there's 4 people playing, there's going to be like 50 meeples that are going to be on the boards that won't even be in these trays. Again, the 6-player version of this game is going to get 2 of these. Again, standard in the game. We have our cards. The other thing I got to figure out is where we're going to put these minis, because this is the decision we made, is we're putting the minis in every game now. So originally we were only going to have that as an add-on, and the minis were going to be part of the 6-player version. I get the minis around here somewhere. There they are. But they're so cool that we're going to put them in every game. So each 4-player game will get 4 minis, and these are our dice mechs. I had one of the reviewers ask, what's the utility of dice mechs? Are they just like decorative, or what's the? I got to just wipe my nose here. Are they just decorative, or what's the deal? And I said, well, no, you don't technically need them to play the game. However, they work very well to remind you to pay the cost of mining, because to mine, it costs people. And what we found with all the different playtests we've done, usually at least once a game, people were forgetting, did I burn a person or not? Did I return a person back to the supply to roll that die? Because you're in the heat of it and everybody's kind of going simultaneous, which is why the game moves so fast and efficient. So we came up with this mechanism to, I guess pun intended, to make it easy for people to remember, okay, I need to pay the price of mining. And you simply do that by taking the miner, you put him in the mech, you pull the dice out, you roll your dice, you grab your minerals, put the minerals on your board, the dice goes back, and then the person gets burnt, and they go into the general supply. If you go through the sequence every time and everybody does that, you will never forget whether you use somebody to, the resource you needed to mine. Likewise, other players can kind of keep track of everyone else, make sure everyone is kind of playing and not one-upping. Because I've seen games literally get won by somebody having one more VNOT in their city than another person. So if you make a mistake on whether you were supposed to take a person out or not, that could be the difference between whether you win the game or not. Also, they just look super cool. They look super cool. My niece Megan painted this one, so they look really awesome when you paint them. And so we've got all different colors that we've painted for our own collection. But man, they just look so awesome on the table. A lot of game presence. What shocks me is all this stuff fits in this box. This, like a standard kitchen table, is full of game components when this game is laid out on a table. You'll see this from the preview video that we're also going to send out probably with our next update. With the cards, let's open these up because they were supposed to replace. Again, we talked about this on our last update as well. Some of these cards. Let's see if they got replaced or not. So yeah, so just kind of finish that thought process up. I got to figure out where I can put 4 of these miners in this box. For sure, I think this box is going to have to be an inch deeper, and probably for the 6-player version we're going to need probably 2 more inch in terms of depth on the box. It'll be a big box. We are going to, although the 6-player is an expansion, we will ship the expansion already packed into a box. So we'll have a larger box for the 6-player version and a slightly less deep box for the 4-player version, but you're not going to have to have like a separate box for your expansion and kind of bring that out at the game table. We want everything to fit in this box. Because again, this just comes out of personal preference. I find myself when I'm playing expansions, I really hate having to, pull my expansion off of multiple boxes on the table to kind of put the game together. I like everything just to be in one box. There's that, ironically, there's the Lost Drop Run card that I was talking about. So we're going to take the text off the bottom and we'll just explain what this card is in our rule book. So these look good. So let's flip them over. How'd they turn out? Yay! All right. This was making my eye twitch. Just the aesthetics, because they had the line around the two was way too thick. And I know how they did it because they shrunk the artwork down and they didn't do what's called outlining the strokes in the artwork, which would then allow everything to scale properly when you shrink it down. So the two here had a big, fat, thick circle around it, which when you had laid them out on the table, they just didn't really match that well. So we did that. There's the Earth card, which again, that was another question that came up that seemed obvious to me, was when the Earth card comes up, that's the last round. One of the reviewers came back and said, okay, but when that comes up, do I take that out of play and I replace it with another card so I still have the same number of cards down on the mat that we get to pick from? Well, the answer is no. That's part of one of the cards that's on the table, so you're going to have one less canister to grab. But it's not clear, right? I assumed it was clear, but it's not clear. So we're gonna make sure all of this stuff is crystal clear. And that's why I really love getting this out to the number of reviewers we typically do. I know we've got 20 some odd reviewers that are going to be looking at this, and even more. We've got more copies we're shipping. Is they will come up with stuff you've never thought of, and that inherently will make sure that this is the best possible experience for the end backers of the game. So that's what we are going to do. We'll make those edits. Here's the board for anybody that, see how you find a card that you upgrade with. There's an upgrade card. So this is the mechanic. So this just goes to show you how these boards work. 3-dimensional slots. And you have these little cards that physically upgrade your board, that increases the capacity in your station. It also gives you a victory point. And then this little window here, sometimes there's a special ability that'll appear by plugging that card into the board. This was the core heart of the design of this game. This is one thing right out of the gate we knew that we wanted. And we're super happy with the way it turned out. We're just ecstatic. So that's Cities of Venus. Those are the updates we're doing. Man, these trays turned out really, really well. We have already purchased the molds, so thank goodness that these turned out well. Because the molds aren't cheap, my friends. It was an investment, so we're fairly confident we're going to fund. That's a sunk cost regardless. But these molds now allow us to have these trays ready to go out of the gate. These molds, we didn't ship the minis with the reviewer copies, specifically because the molds for these are really, really crazy expensive. So we're going to do that post-campaign. But again, this is my next task, is to find out how I'm going to fit these in the box. And once we come up with a solution for that, we'll share that in our next video. All right. So let me jump over to CATNIP Auction House. So that's Cities of Venus. If you're not following this campaign, please do me a favor. Go over to the Kickstarter page we have. I'll put a link in the show notes. I'll take you straight there. Please go there and click the notify me on launch button. It really helps us with the algorithms out of the gate. We're at about, I think, 1,163 people who've already signed up to say, I want to be notified when this campaign goes live. That's the largest number we've ever had on a campaign. So we know that we're going to come out of the gate stronger than we ever have. But the higher that number is, the better we are set up for success out of the gate. So please go. It takes a couple seconds. Just click the link, get there, and then hit the notify me on launch button again, and that will they'll get you in the system. All right. CATNIP Auction House. We talked about this last time. This is going straight to retail. We are taking pre-orders on this right now. I'll put a link on this in the show notes as well. If you go to tinrobotgames.com, we have right now you can order this game, and then it ships in June. We are offering, and I put in the e-blast on our last e-blast we put out, and I'll put it in this e-blast as well, that there's a code we'll give you that if you pre-sign up, so before do like a pre-order, we'll give you a discount. Once we hit the launch date, then there'll be no more discounts, but people that sign up early will get a discount. And this is that cat auction game where you each play a cat, and you have catnip that you are bidding to win these awesome items like feather on a stick or toilet paper or a cardboard box. And these items have powers that impact the other players in the game. You can use them to impact other players' abilities to gain victory points. In this game, victory points are mice. Person with the most amount of mice at the end of the game wins. So there's really exciting things about this game. One is we've got a manufacturer. So this is actually, we've sent the files off for manufacturer. So this is now, we're just going through the motions, and hopefully we're shipping in June. Might get lucky a little bit early. Probably going to be June when this ships. We definitely want to profile the origins. But the one thing that we changed, I think I talked about this last time, but the pause tokens, where you pause, pun intended, your bid. On the flip side, we'll have claws out. So there's a color difference just to make it easy for people to know the difference, whether who's in and who's out. Another thing we added, which a good buddy of mine, Stephen Hill, this was his idea, is to have this marker to make it easy to tell which direction is the bidding, because we change the direction every bidding round just to make it fair, and so that one person can't continually keep hitting the same person. And you do that by just flipping this token over. So the auctioneer changes to the next person. You flip the token over and everyone can see which direction the bidding goes. It'll be orange on the back, yellow on the other side. So this is now going to be added in the game as well. So we've chosen Longpack to be our manufacturer for this particular game. They came in with the best quote. And, you know, what I really liked about Longpack, and I reconnected with them at Breakout Con, because we hadn't used them for a number of years. We had a bid on, I believe it was Nutty Squirrels, the Oakwood Forest. For one reason or another, it just didn't work out, and I just stopped including them in the bidding process. And so we've repaired that relationship. And so they were at the Breakout Con, and they came back and they bidded on this, and they won the bid on this. What I really like about Longpack, and we're actually interviewing the CEO of Longpack Games tonight on the podcast. What I really like about this company is how much they have their crap together. Like, shockingly, like, I've dealt with a lot of manufacturers. They've got like a guide. So when I'm getting ready to send them my art files, I say, well, here's our guide, right? And the guide comes through, and here's, you know, your safeties, and here's how you set up your files, and standard things that we should know. But they even come back today and they said, hey, we're looking at one of your art files, and we noticed that you've got your CE certification on the back, right? Because we always do testing because of small parts. We don't want people to choke on this. So we do the CE testing for European certification. But they preemptively said, well, because it's a 14 plus on your box, you actually don't need that, right? Legally, it's not required. So do you sure you want to do that? Maybe take the CE off, or do we want to do testing? But just having the forethought to be constantly probing me these kind of questions, I really appreciate in a relationship with a manufacturer. I find when I'm talking to manufacturers, and this is one of the reasons I really liked Sky Game, who we've used for a lot of our games as well, is they're very collaborative, right? So it's not like, you know, send them the files and then you wait and then they come back and tell you, oh, here's some issues, and then you have to keep resetting things. Like, they're giving you input along the way. Hey, have you considered doing this? Have you considered doing that? Quite frankly, this foam insert was that they came up with that idea. You know, it was a collaboration. So I really, really appreciate that. And so with Longpack on CATNIP Auction House specifically, I'm really digging the way that this back and forth is going with these guys, and we'll see how it plays out. We'll see the final game when it's ready. When I get the initial print copy, I'm going to share it live on air so you guys can see what it looks like. But I'm super excited. I'm very, very optimistic with the way this relationship has started. Anybody that follows the podcast, check us out tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I am going to be on with the CEO of Longpack. We're going to learn his story and how he started the company. And for anybody that's following either of these campaigns, if you're interested in CATNIP Auction House, tinrobotgames.com, you can order a pre-order copy right now. And for Cities of Venus, please give us that follow on our Kickstarter page. It helps immensely. Anyway, everyone, hope you have a great day. You take care, and cheers. This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.